Welcome everybody to MogTalk episode 140. Today is March 31st, right before April's 1st. So, no pranks today, right? No, you guys aren't going to just bail out on me randomly.
One of these questions feels like a prank to me, so I'm not 100% certain.
Okay, well, maybe for you. Ethys, you're right. You're on April's 1st, aren't you?
Yeah, it's April's 1st, yeah.
Oh, God damn it. I thought you might not just show up today. And then you
that would be a joke of terrible taste.
Do they have April Fools down there, or is it like?
Do you guys celebrate April Fools in Australia?
No, it doesn't reach that far. Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha.
They skip that day.
Yeah.
And before we start too much, I do want to apologize to everybody who's upset. I do have less hair on my face. I know a lot of people are bothered by that. I kind of look like I'm maybe going through puberty, but it's.
I tried to put some on your face.
I think you're very brave. This is the closest that I can physically go.
I think I'm very brave too. Thank you very much.
I agree. Well, it's, you know, showing your whole face like that in the state that it's in. Really
I was thinking I wasn't going to do the show today, but I figured since we got these questions answered, I'd do it. All right.
What is he? Who is he? Harvey Dent? It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, like I have burns and everything, and I'm just like I can't go out in public anymore. I got to wear a mask. Yeah. No. We're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Thank you, Ethys.
Do this for me real quick.
Ah, there we go.
There you go. You see it? It's right there. You got it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. All right. So the topic today, about a month ago or so, I sent some questions into Yoshida, just 10 questions about rating, about PvP, and about some other things that we will get into. But before we start, I do want to go ahead and let you guys know who we have on the show. You guys might know who he is. I don't know. He's come on a few times. I felt bad. I'm trying to get him a little bit more publicity so you guys might recognize him a little bit more. Mr. Happy here. Mr. Happy, can you tell everybody just a little bit about who you are and what you do so they can be in line?
I play video games, a lot of them, and I stream, and I do YouTube videos, guides, and me rambling on about my thoughts and my passion.
What's your passion?
Games.
Games? Okay.
Games.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just very passionate about them.
Okay. That's good. Do you have like an open relationship with games?
It depends on the day. Sometimes I just gotta step away, separate myself. But most of the times, we're together. You know, and I think it's going places.
Okay. All right. Good. I'm happy to hear.
No, that's me.
This joke's gonna end one day, and we won't say ever. I want that word back, dude. I seriously just want that word back.
The word's mine now. Don't worry, when it's December and I'm feeling frosty, you can make the same joke.
Okay. Let me introduce our second guest here, who's been on the show about 10% of all the shows that we've ever had before.
Getting close to that.
Getting close to it. Mr. Balana Rao. I'm gonna put Mr. in front of everybody's name, by the way.
Oh, we all Mr.
So then I'm Mr. Happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're okay with that.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, good. So Mr. Balana Rao has been on the show plenty. Some people might want to get to know you a little bit more, though. Can you tell everybody about yourself a little bit, Balana?
Yeah. So I'm Balana. I've been involved in the leadership of Elysium since like its founding. Around that point, I went to school. I studied chemistry. I got my degree in chemistry, but I work in IT, and I do this stuff on the side. So yeah.
Some people might not know what Elysium is. Could you just?
Elysium is a premier free company that is involved in raiding at the highest echelons in the North America region, located on the Gilgamesh server.
Okay. Thank you very much. That was actually very enlightening. I feel like I know a little bit more now. Enlightening. I hate it when I trip over words like that.
Yes, I'm very lightning.
Okay. Very good. Final Fantasy 13. All right, Ethys here has been on the show a few times. He comes on about lore, but I'm getting tired of talking about story and stuff, and it's kind of boring, so we're going to bring him on about something a little bit more.
I'm offended on his behalf.
You're just sick of looking stupid.
Yeah.
Like, hey, maybe if I bring Ethys on for something that's not law.
I bring you on for the accent, to be honest with you. I don't really care about anything else.
You also didn't call him Mr. Ethys.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Ethys. Mr. Ethys Asher.
Mr. Ethys Asher to you, sir.
The unofficial lore guide that we have here, which means something.
Very unofficial.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You're kind of getting there. You're doing some official stuff, right?
I mean, vaguely.
In a capacity of some way.
Official stuff here in Australia because there's no one else to do it.
You're the only
Unfortunate.
Option. Yeah.
That's not entirely true. There's a really good community down here. But yeah, that's me. I'm Ethys. I'm Australian. I stream. I sometimes make lore videos, and I have a good time.
I feel like the introductions have gone very well today.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'd say so.
We've done a great job.
Yep.
So, for some reason, if you guys are unfamiliar with what MogTalk is, by the way, it's a show based around the Final Fantasy XIV community discussing everything from Savage Raiding to Chocobo Racing. And today...
Please don't tell me you've actually done a show about Chocobo Racing.
Not yet.
No.
I get a lot of
Thank
heat
God.
about it. I get a lot of heat about it, man. But
I hope
Well, you
not.
say it. You've said it 160 times. You still haven't done it.
No, 140 times.
not 140. I'm going to be honest with you. It's only been like 60 times total. Okay. It's been like a new introduction that I've been just going with, but it's
Gotcha.
stuck. It's stuck. Today, we're going to be leaning in a couple different directions because we're going to do raiding and we're going to do PvP. We're going to do miscellaneous.
Shut up.
Miscellaneous questions today.
I'm sorry, miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous. Is that bad?
Miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous? Can I not say miscellaneous? Is it
Miscellaneous?
miscellaneous?
You can say it, but man, or other people gonna have something to say.
Can you introduce me to miscellaneous?
I can. Yeah. I'm gonna mispronounce. Mispronounce. Is that good?
I would like to introduce mispronounced and miscellaneous.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. All right. This intro's gone great. We're going to go ahead and continue on with the rest of the topic here. So, I sent in, again, 10 interview questions to Yoshida about a month ago or so. I got the responses just yesterday. And so, I rushed and got this cast together because I wasn't actually going to do a show today because I felt so bad about my beard. And I felt like it would be awkward to come on the show. But I said, screw it. You know what? I'm going to man up. I'm going to do it because I want you guys to know these answers. They're exclusive questions that no one else has heard before, except for the 3 other members here on the show. Yeah,
Less than a day ago.
less than a day ago.
In the car on the way to a bar.
All right, so I'm gonna just go and get into the meat of it. Let's go through this. I'm gonna actually read the introduction I gave to him, and I'm gonna explain this a little bit because it feels kind of weird because I've done this 3 times now. But I feel, even though you send in questions to Yoshida, I don't know if Yoshida says, oh, I know who that is, or he's just responding to media questions, right? So I kind of introduced myself a little bit more. I was like, hey, you know what, thank you very much for taking the time to review and answer my questions. I'm not sure how much you know about me, but I've ran a podcast for 3 years dedicated to interviewing and discussing topics with players called MogTalk. I've spent an extensive amount of time speaking with raiders of every sort, from world first to casual players, as well as the most diehard PvP players. Below are questions that have been generated from my conversations with the player base recently that I hope you could answer. Does that feel like a pretty good introduction? Like, that's not like stepping overboard?
Quality.
Yeah. I mean, I think he'd probably remember you or recognize you because when I met him at FanFest, he knew who.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good with that. He sees a lot of people, but he's pretty good with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. For some reason, I just had that suspicion. I was like, maybe I'm just kind of there, and I'm just another media outlet. So I wanted to just go the distance.
But I mean, that blurb is still good. It's like, oh, who's this guy? Oh, that's exactly who he is. There we go. Oh, I remember you. There we go.
And the good news is that he can't not recognize the questions because of your beard.
Yeah. He's gonna be real confused watching this one. He's like, who's that guy?
Who's that guy? I don't.
Nice accent. That was an interesting Yoshida accent.
Did I just make an accent? Who's
No,
this guy?
Balana did.
Oh,
I got to keep that under wraps. That's and save for later.
Who's that guy?
yeah.
That's still in development, is it, that one?
All right, I'm gonna put up a little notepad, by the way, so you guys because I think a notepad's gonna bring justice to some of these statements here, and you'll see why later. But I'm just gonna go ahead and put this up now. So his response was, "Hey, thank you so much for doing these podcasts." So he knows who I am, right? First and foremost, thank you for doing it. That makes me feel good. The second part of this is your efforts to reach out and hold valuable talk sessions do reach us in Japan. We see those from translations. From the podcast, there's a site that actually goes through and translates them. All right, that makes sense. It's been translated a little bit. And so then he says, without further ado, let's get into it. This last part is what got me. Because I don't know how to take it. It says, I'm hoping that this episode with the responses are, for word, I'm hoping that the episode with these responses won't make people too salty. So I have
tongue face.
Colon P at the end.
Yeah, and colon P. Let me put that out there. Colon P. This is the exact response from Yoshida right here. So there's a couple of things. One, Yoshida said salty. I don't know if that was like translated in a way for it to come across as just like this is a salty terminology in Japanese and we're just going to translate.
No, he would have heard that so many times. He would know. He's like, that's an American thing, huh? Lick some salts.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't expecting him to say the word salty. So he knows what that is, right?
He's played a lot of MMOs. I have a feeling he's very, very in tune with the phrase.
Okay. The second part of that is that he said salty as in like maybe I took this as almost like my show says a lot of salty things. I
think it's more so that he's used to people taking his words and doing whatever they want with them or interpreting them however they want.
Like we're doing right now.
Like we're doing right now.
Like we're doing today, yeah.
Exactly. And so I don't know. I kind of related that almost like he's heard some of my shows before where we have been salty, and now I feel kind of bad because he said before he read some of the translations, and I know, Balana, you've been on some of the shows that have been translated.
Hey, I'm a fount of positivity, but I do know.
Yeah, but that fountain has salt water in it.
Just a little bit. You can't, you got to add a little. You got to add a little bit of salt to get a little taste. You can't just have pure deionized water. So
right. We're a very legitimate program, guys. And the next part, of course, is the emote, which Happy, you're telling me he does emotes often. It's not uncommon.
Yeah, he's pretty normal. He's pretty normal. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I don't know. It made me feel kind of a little bit closer to him because you use emojis to people you're close to, right?
Yeah.
I use emojis when I don't have words that I think can describe my emotions, and I just need a quick out.
Just need it out.
I use emojis.
Emoji, I'm out.
Like I could just say ha ha, but I want to say ha ha tongue face because I feel like it better conveys.
Okay.
I've got a question for you, Frosty.
Sure.
When you get like a text message from say a girl or your mother or something, do you get like 3 people together to just sort of talk about it for an hour?
Yeah. I do.
That would make a good show.
I do. Do you have a problem with that, Ethys?
No, it's just,
I was planning that show for next week. I have a text log.
Look, it's just very illuminating.
Okay. All right.
Oh, you guys don't do that? You go on Tinder and you start talking to somebody. You get a group. You do it by committee. You have everybody start spitting game. And you choose.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely. It's definitely not overthinking it.
Okay. All right. Who's gonna play Yoshida's response here to the first question?
I'm saving my patience for later.
Okay. All right.
Somebody else take it.
I'll play Yoshida for this first one.
Okay. All right. So there's a handful of points here, and we'll go through them in detail, but we'll read the whole thing first. Mr. Balana. The question I asked to Yoshida here was, most players have commented on the difficulty of Sigma Escape Savage being... Sorry, it's very good. Being the same or even easier than Delta Skate Savage. Can we expect to continue, or Savage to continue to be the same or even easier? Is this due to Ultimate being implemented? So basically, my question was asking him, do we expect the difficulty to stay the same?
Yes, the current difficulty for Savage is deliberate. We'll be working towards keeping this level of difficulty moving forward. The reason for this is very clear. It becomes any more difficult than it currently is, less people are going to take on the challenge, and there'll be a small portion of the player base that would be satisfied. Compared to previous raids, there were significantly more people who cleared Delta Escape Savage, leading us to reaching an all-time high. Through this, we saw an increased demand for crafted gear, food items, and potions. The markets became much more active than any previous raid. I concluded that continuing this would allow for more players to enjoy Savage content. Of course, because of that, I decided to implement the Ultimate series aimed at those who would not be satisfied by the level of the difficulty of Savage. Fortunately, the End Coil Bahamut Ultimate in the first Ultimate series was received very well. We're currently working on the next Ultimate as part of the 4.3 series. If you love content with a high level of difficulty, I encourage you to stay tuned for more information.
That was very good. That you sounded kind of like you sped through it. You didn't give it like a lot of up and downs though. Like you build up.
It's a PR face. That's
I mean,
PR face.
if you had given me a bit more time to rehearse, then hey, can you come on the show in 16 hours? Maybe.
Okay. I got you. All right. Fair enough, Balana. So reading through this, there's a handful of things he said here, right? It wasn't just, hey, yeah, it's going to be the same. Even though that's kind of what the answer was. But there's a lot more stuff that we can kind of milk from this. Do you guys want to use that term, milk from this statement? Yeah?
Milk?
Yeah?
I don't know if
I'm lactose intolerant.
Okay, all right. Honestly, there is a whole bunch of points I want to go over. The first one is obvious, all right? Yes, the current difficulty for Savage is deliberate. We will probably be working towards keeping this level of difficulty going forward. This means a lot to players. This means, hey, Savage is as difficult as it's going to get, which is going to make some people not happy.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me there is that I have to agree with what Arthur said last time I was on here with him. He was saying that Savage kind of isn't so savage anymore. When Gordius first came out in Second Coil, those Savages had teeth. Mm-hmm. And now it's the name has stuck because that's the tier of difficulty that it is, but I mean it's basically the hard mode now compared to the story version.
I mean they've loved hyperbole in the naming schemes always. I mean Ultimate's the only one I would call not hyperbole, especially compared to everything else. But Savage, Extreme, Hard mode, like look at hard mode dungeons, look at Extreme Primals, like they aren't extreme, they are hard, and I would definitely argue that these fights aren't savage anymore. But it's just what, like you said, it's what stuck.
Yeah.
Right. And so are you guys are you going to be okay going forward with this kind of difficulty for Savage?
Yeah, because we have Ultimate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly right.
All right. So that kind of clears it. You're like, as long as we have some difficult content coming, you're okay with it. Because before, you would never really have that level of difficulty. You would have something that's kind of difficult for the first week, and then it's easy. But Ultimate doesn't get easy, right?
No, it really doesn't.
No.
You get used to things like you would any other fight, but it's easy is not a term I would use.
Right. Okay, so the second part of this is he explains it a little bit. He says the reason's very clear. It becomes any more difficult than it currently is, less people will take on the challenge, and there will only be a small portion of the player base that would be satisfied. Compared to previous raids, there are significantly more people who have cleared Delta Escape, leading us to this all-time high. So he is looking at this in a direction that he wants people to do it. He wants people to play it. He wants people to go out there and have some sort of challenge, but not be so difficult that it makes them not want to do it.
Are we surprised that the clear rate is at an all-time high?
No,
because I think I'm not surprised, but that's very, very interesting at the same time. And he's obviously got a target for Savage for the particular clear rate. They want a particular percentage of the player base to be engaging with it, and that's kind of what the Final Fantasy XIV endgame is all about, right? Is that for each demographic, for each type of player, there's specific content that they can go after, that they can work on. I guess the more we kind of draw out Ultimate as like its own thing, they can just sort of go absolutely ham on that for the 1% of people that want that kind of content. And then Savage can be geared at that sort of mid-core level, which is what they've been trying to do previously, right? Is they've tried to make the mid-core and the super hardcore people happy with the same content. And that's not really possible.
No, we are, for lack of a better term, whiny bitches.
Yeah.
We want everything our way. So
I mean, we'll whine, we'll complain, we'll be like, oh, Gordius was actually hard, but I mean, Gordius Savage almost killed raiding in this game. So many teams ran into that A3 wall. It was really bad for the health of the game overall. And I think they're seeing the highest clear rates they've ever had is because new expansion came out, new raid came out. It's a lot more accessible than Gordius was. And so now people are following through with that to the next tier. And everything, all the points he made about it it's really good for the health of the game. He's saying they're seeing more people, selling stuff on the market board. People are making gear. Like, it's good. It's good for the health of the game, and that's the point he's making. And
that's actually my favorite point. Sorry to interrupt. That's my favorite point is the crafted gear, food items, and potions, because you have to consider those things. It's great when, I guess, the hardcore raiders are the only ones who need it. And I guess maybe the prices bump up, but I mean, if people look at there's not really much value or an overcrowded market, they don't invest in even leveling crafters and gatherers because they don't want to get involved. So it trickles down. And I think that's the main thing.
With the crafting stuff, I don't know if that had so much to do with the difficulty as much as it did the fact that the Savage came out at the same time as normal.
For me, it's just the less people who are raiding, the less people who are purchasing these things. So their market longevity. The market longevity is much shorter. Whereas now, I mean, there are people who just recommend getting crafted gear when newer players get up to whatever guild they have, grab a crafted piece or two to get caught up or something. Like, it's a regular recommendation depending on server markets. So we didn't have that back then. You'd pay $3-4 million for one piece because the only people who needed them were the hardcore raiders. And then after that, everything was too expensive and it was just crazy.
Right. And so, this is something I didn't really think about at all either. So it is good that more people are raiding because more people are participating in things that involve raiding, like the potions and everything else. And so crafting hasn't gone up, which is, I guess, what he's looking at is content. He's not just bringing back to life of raiding. He's bringing back to life other parts that they've developed and they actively developed throughout, the years. So that makes sense. I think a lot of people might not see it from that perspective, but I don't know. All right, so let's go on. The other part here is, of course, because of that, I decided to implement Ultimate, or the Ultimate series aimed for those who may not be satisfied by the level of difficulty of Savage. Fortunately, the Unending Coil of Bahamut, the first in the Ultimate series, was received very well. And we made a very good point. I think the entire community made a very strong point to say, hey, we like Ultimate, continue. All right.
And for me, what was an important thing, it wasn't just so much the people who were doing Ultimate. The people who weren't doing Ultimate were cheering for the people who were doing it.
Yes.
And it was a huge community thing, thinking back to 5150 and the huge impact that they made on people who weren't raiders, but were super invested in the idea of even having this present in the game.
Well, we were all saying that at the time, and that hopefully that was going to be the thing that they looked at, and it obviously has been the thing that they have looked at. Is that even though a tiny fraction of the player base is actually participating in this content actively, they're on Twitch, for instance, we were at higher numbers than we were at the beginning of Stormblood. For the game, like across the whole network, it was blowing up. It was ridiculous. There was so many people participating in the sort of the spectacle, the spectator sport of watching that world first race.
And what the other interesting thing about Ultimate too, besides like lots of people watching it, when you finish up Savage, even if it's easy for you, people who might complain about the difficulty of Savage being too easy still haven't cleared Ultimate.
Well, that's
because you can always go back and clear Ultimate, right?
That's interesting, and there is a really small group of people here who are still not entirely satisfied, and that's people that I suppose really enjoyed like Gordius Savage, for instance, and stuff at like that kind of level, who are now currently finding maybe the current Savage like a little bit too easy, not particularly challenging, but still don't have the resources or the time or whatever to commit to Ultimate. It's like, because there's a big step between Savage currently and Ultimate, and I mean, you can concede that there are some people that fit into that gap, but I guess they've either got to settle down or reach higher, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point. Hap, Balana, anything else on that?
No, that was pretty well said. My bit on 5150 was just the only point I really wanted to make.
Okay. All right. So the last part of that is saying we are currently working on the next Ultimate as part of the 4.3 series. If you love the content of high difficulty, and we encourage you to stay tuned for more information. So that's so there's a worry that I have when I ask questions to Yoshida. And the last sentence is the worry that I usually have. I encourage you to stay tuned for more information. Stay tuned. Hold on. We're going to give it to you.
Please look forward to it. Hi.
Yeah, exactly. But that's okay because he gave us a lot of information here. And I feel like we all kind of expect... He's not going to give me the details on Ultimate. He's not going to say, oh, Ultimate is now the Primal fight, right? He's not going to tell me that.
Well, I mean, that's what they have the live letter for in a week.
Exactly.
Yeah, he straight up said the next live letter will tell us.
Yeah.
So they've got a whole PR plan with that one.
Yeah. So I'm kind of excited about that. I'm glad that was a pretty good answer overall because I was curious about that because I have asked him before, and in their before plans they were like, yeah, we're gonna ramp up Savage, right? It's gonna be a ramp up throughout the expansion. But now that they have Ultimate, they decided this is how they want to go. This is the rating tier route. They're gonna do Savage around this difficulty, and then they're gonna do Ultimate, and it works. I can't entirely say I'm upset about it.
I'm not upset about it at all because it gives me time to do other things. Listen, after doing Gordius, thinking I wanted weeks and weeks of progression, and then crumbling after 5 weeks of A4 Savage, having a 2-day clear on God Kefka or a 3 or 4 day clear on Delta Skate, like things like that are refreshing because I get to have a life at some point. Because I go hard.
Yeah.
So I don't mind that at all.
Okay. All right. No, I think that's most people like to have a break and play other games than Final Fantasy 14, right?
But when it's Ultimate, I want to go ham.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been nice if there was like a little step up between each one of the tiers. Like
there is a tiny step up, right? I think in the end we kind of decided that there's a tiny micro step up from Delta Skate.
It depends.
It's debatable. It's entirely debatable, and I don't know. Everything seems to be about creator difficulty. If they could crank it up to like Midas or like close to Midas, that'd be cool.
If they could end on Midas,
just as bad for the raid scene as Gordius was because people got stuck on 6, and then 8 was like an insurmountable mountain for a lot of people, even if they could get there.
But it was less. It was less like DPS check driven.
It was mechanic heavy. So if they could,
yeah.
I never cleared 8 when it was relevant. I had to go back after I cleared Creator and cleared 8. And I'm super casual. I'm the casualist guy in the world, right?
Casualist.
I'm the most. You know what I call my raid at?
Casualist.
I say pro casual is my raid group. That's pretty good, right?
Pro casual.
Pro casual.
Right.
Before I disbanded it, of course.
Casual pro or pro casual?
Pro casual. Pro casual.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not actually casual, but you're okay with people that are. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes. No. I am casual. I set out professionally to make myself as casual as possible.
There you go.
Yeah. Make sense?
Proud of you.
Thank you. All right, so we got like 9 more questions to go through, and we've already spent 30 minutes on this first one.
We spent 20 minutes talking about the other thing.
It's
talking
true.
about the
beard.
face.
Yeah, the beard. Yeah. All right. So we might be doing good. We'll do good. All right, hold on. We got this next question in here, and I'm going to read the answer to this one. At this, I'm going to get you the second one, all right? The one after this, all right? Okay.
The third one.
Yeah. And so, by the way, if you guys are curious how I gather some of these questions, some of them I wrote on my own. Some of them I went out to people I know and asked them, hey, do you have a question that you would want to answer? This is one that Bok Choi sent in. Or he asked me to go through, and I kind of changed it around a little bit. Which kind of went in regards of the 15 jobs that we have. So basically, with 15 unique jobs and only 8 positions in a full party, some jobs are naturally more desired than others. When adding more jobs, continuing the support for those jobs, how do you make each job satisfying the play and worth bringing to endgame raid? I think this is a question a lot of people have when we're talking about expanding Final Fantasy into 50 different jobs in the end, right? And only an 8-man raid. You're limited. All right, you guys ready for the answer? I'm gonna go
Yes.
full brunt here. All right. Fundamentally speaking, our policy is to create unique job experience that is specific. Yeah, sorry to quote specific to that job. With any job that is the game, or any job that is in the game. When a player uses that job, we think about bringing some kind of change to the battles that they have played up to this point through job-specific mechanics, our gameplay experience. That's because by doing so, the players will want to try out various different jobs. When thinking about a new job, we pay close attention to the catchiness of the character's look, the stylishness of their actions. Many of the players can be particular whether or not a job actually feels like Final Fantasy and is visually appealing before they concern themselves over whether or not it's actually fun to use the job. So with any new job introduced to Final Fantasy XIV, these points are very important. The decision to bring a particular job to in-game raid is up to the players, and so our task is to simply make sure that you can complete the raid with any job combination. Of course, I understand that with each job, there will be some jobs that are more advantageous than others in terms of clearing the content early or quickly. But more than that, we prioritize providing gameplay that experience, or a gameplay experience that is unique to the job. That is not all of our players. That is because not all of our players will go into a raid. So the gist is, they make Final Fantasy characters first. Balance is the second part of that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So first point here is they want to offer a unique experience specific to that job. So every job they're trying to make unique. I feel like that makes complete sense to me because that's how they seem to develop. Do you feel like the jobs, I guess that's a good question to ask. Do you guys feel like the jobs are unique?
Each to their own degree.
Okay.
If you've played one job within a role, then I guess what you're aiming to do within that role is still similarly defined with the other jobs. But the means at which you access it is usually unique enough. It used to be less unique, I feel, and with the job gauges, outside of some of the lamer job gauges they've done, they accomplished that a little bit more. But I feel like there's still room to really make that stand out a little bit more.
Yeah, all three of the casters feel pretty different right now.
Yeah,
that's I think where the most diversity is. You have some interesting mechanics between the two different range DPS. The melees each have their own kind of gimmick, but they're still at the same core of nailing positionals, and the tanks got a little bit of samey, I feel, with the Stormblood Crunch and the kind of the cross roll actions becoming.
Their job gauges are just
yeah.
Right.
I mean, Dark Knight has a little bit of interesting kind of play going on, but the rest of them are a little bit samey. They still have their own, like Warrior has their unique mechanics of the stance dancing. Paladins kind of like stick it into one and stay there for most of the time.
Stick it into one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Healers, I think, have a pretty good spread as well. They have a pretty good kind of unique approach between each of the three of them. So, yeah, I think inside each one of the roles, they do kind of have a little bit, at least something they can point to say it's a unique experience. But overall, looking at this whole question, I feel like he kind of dodged the question, said he doesn't doesn't really address the endpoint of worth bringing to an endgame raid. He's like, oh, we focus on all these other things because not everybody raids. And
I think the gist of
that's direct.
Yeah. So I think one of the statements he kind of replied back with was, that's not our focus. That's the end. He was basically saying,
to me, that's the direct answer. I mean, I understand. It feels like he understands what the question is. He's just saying, I mean, that's just not our focus.
Right.
Period. It's what people will be the loudest about complaining about, but it's not the sole focus.
Yeah, I think that's just how he, instead of saying this is how we make them unique, or we try to make them worth bringing to the raid scene, he basically says that's not. Even though the answer wants to be like we go in there and we develop this job and we counterbalance this other job's action and say this, they don't think about that. They just don't do it. I mean, they do in a way, but that's like second step. They're like, let's make this cool and fun to play. Then
the thing is, if you want all jobs to be viable in a raid scenario, the most obvious way to do that is to homogenize them like as much as possible, right? And he doesn't want to do that because that's boring. No one really wants that. A lot of people think they want that. No one really wants that. A lot of people say things like, "Oh, you should give samurai, like some ninja abilities or whatever to make them more useful." But no one actually wants it to feel more like ninja. I think Stormblood did a really, really good job. A lot of people were concerned with the announcement of Stormblood, the announcement of like shaving down a lot of job actions. And sort of streamlining each of the jobs. A lot of people were worried that that was going to lead to them being more homogenized. It really had the opposite effect, where they all do feel even more distinct than they ever did, at least for the most part. Like we talked about the taxes, it might be something in there. But they've done this really, really good balancing act between the jobs all feeling relatively unique and also being more or less viable in any composition. And that's like a really, really difficult thing to do. The other point that he makes, which I think is really interesting, is that you want new jobs in particular to be really approachable, because you're using them as like a carrot to bring new players into an expansion or whatever. And Red Mage and Samurai are really good for this because they're easy to get your head around.
Right.
They're very straightforward. They are sort of very, very flashy and very satisfying to play. And that is obviously the far more important concern than how they perform in raid. How they perform in raid is something you can worry about in post, more or less, which is what they've been doing, more or less, making these adjustments. And I think it's going just fine, honestly.
Okay. I know a lot of people aren't going to be happy with the answer. They're just not going to be happy with that answer because they want to see every single job to be viable. If you say, I have a red mage.
But they are.
Yeah, but
every single job is viable.
They want it to be not, okay, maybe that's the wrong word, not viable.
Optimal.
They want every job to be so close together that you're not going to be like, oh, I have a samurai. I got this.
You can't do that without making them so homogenous that the distinctions between the jobs just become arbitrary, right?
Right. I mean, you probably could. I bet there is a way to do it, but they would have to allocate so many resources to that that it would be we'd get hurts in some other spot in the game. We'd be upset about something else in the game.
I'm not gonna lie. Also, as much as if this is in any sort of online game that ever has to balance something, which is most of them, balancing is a huge discussion point too. Imagine never needing to discuss balance or one job versus the other, never being able to be excited about a change or an update, or you'd never be excited. It literally would just be something that's gone from your conversation forever. So
but then on the opposite spectrum, there's the same kind of the burn meta, the high DPS comp of you have Dragoon, Ninja, Machinist, Bard. Stack all those together and you do optimal DPS. That's been how it's been since Heavensward. And I'm hoping that maybe with the next expansion, if they can introduce some more classes, maybe there'd be like a non-physical specific meta that can come up and kind of move away. Like, I think having more options is the way to kind of break the meta, and you need to have this optimal comp mentality that people.
I just wish players that were struggling with 07 Savage weren't focused on having the optimal comp. Like, that's all I want.
I mean, technically for Savage and for Ultimate content, you can bring whatever you want and you'll clear it eventually. It might take you a little bit longer. Maybe you'll have some unique troubles you need to get through. But with the difficulty of Savage content, you don't need to have the optimal comp. And Ultimate's basically all execution. You don't need to have the optimal comp for that. So, I mean, people are asking for something they don't need, really.
Well, I see so many people, again, being stuck on that 07 S1 and being like, oh, no, we're hitting rage. We can't push the DPS. We need a better composition.
It's because the monk's not a ninja, right?
Yeah. That's definitely, it's not because you're dying. It's not because you had 4 deaths in that run. That couldn't be why you're hitting in rage. No. It's gotta be because you're bringing the wrong DPS. It's like, no, focus on optimizing what you've got. Focus on not dying. Focus on doing the mechanics, and you will clear. Simple as that.
Yeah, it's true. And that's why I play Paladin throughout Creator, and I got so much crap for it. Because technically those 1% clears we would have cleared if I wasn't a Paladin, right?
Well, you don't know that.
Brave.
Yeah.
there's 1,000 other things you probably could have done differently that would have made up that 1%.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, you're better at Paladin than you are the other tanks, right?
Yeah, I mean, damn, Dark Knight was hard back then, man. I didn't want to play Dark Knight.
You're going to perform even worse if that's possible. And
you piece of shit.
But that's so often the case, right? Someone's like, oh, I've got this job that I play the shit out of and I know really, really well, but I'm going to stop playing it. I'm going to play like the meta one instead. And it's like, well, you're probably not even going to play that job particularly well, are you? Like, play the one you're good at.
Yeah. I mean, and we're talking about this in the spectrum of players who play one job, right? Something they're like, hey, I want to come to Final Fantasy. I want to play a paladin. I want to be a paladin in Final Fantasy, and they come in and they play, and so that's it. Then we have the other type of player who wants to come in and be really good. That's their whole goal. Is I want to be good. I want to be useful. I want to be helpful. And so then they switch up and they play different jobs and everything else. And I don't think there's ever going to be that balance to where you can say, these people who are really good get to choose what job, or they want to be really good, can't also be the job they want to play, unless if they're just lucky.
I mean, you can.
Does that make sense?
You could probably zone into Ultimate and clear it with a Dark Knight, a Black Mage, and a Samurai.
You can. I don't think that's a probably. You definitely can. Yeah.
You can, and that's what they balance the game around, making everything at least viable. But people want it to be easier. They want to have better incentives for their favorite job to be brought in, and unfortunately, just in the sake of the name of diversity, like, people are gonna be kind of left behind like that. Like, giving, like a samurai a trick attack or whatever is going to start to infringe in the identity of the ninja, or giving them, Shadewalker or whatever. It's so you have to kind of pick your battles a little bit. Though it would be nice if these, neglected classes had things to help them get past the stigma.
Like Paladin had Storm's Blood.
I think the thing is, though, if you fix one of those, then somebody else is going to be the new bottom of the totem pole, and they're going to have a stigma, and then they're going to want something, and it's this kind of arms race that kind of... Basically,
what we really want in the end is that Dark... Dragoon and Ninja, we don't want them to be in a raid anymore, basically, is what we're saying, right? We want them out. We want someone else.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. I got you.
Take someone else.
All right. Let's hit this next question. Question number 3 here. And I'm going to read the question here, and at this, you're gonna give me the answer, all right? You ready for it? All right, give me 1 second to get this on the screen so people can read it as well, because I will trip over myself. So there you go. Now you can actually read it too. All right. When doing previous in-game content on the minimum eye level setting, many players would like to have their level 70 skills and abilities. Removing access to level 70 skills and abilities feels incomplete and awkward, since some jobs, the skills and abilities are even different than what it was when the content actually was released. Is there any chance level sync will just scale down stats and not just access to those skills and abilities? Now, the reason I asked this question, by the way, just to let you guys all know, is because when you go into old content, it feels kind of goofy now. It doesn't feel right to me. I don't know if you guys have the same feeling.
Oh, level 50 Dragoon at the moment feels like such trash. I hate it. I can't.
Monk hasn't changed in 4 years. I'm fine.
Touche.
There's like Bard and Summoner, and a lot of classes feel really weird at different points now.
Yeah. And so that's the main reason, because people like to go back to this old content and experience it while not feeling weird, I guess. Like, if they're trying out a new member or something, they can sink down and then do this content where it feels natural, and they can actually try the guy out instead of try him kind of out with him not having access to all of his abilities. But Ethys, you want to answer this for us?
Okay, so Yoshida says, technically it is possible, but even if we scaled them down and people would have level 70 skills and abilities, I think whether or not an encounter's difficulty level becomes the same as when it was first implemented is a separate issue. Compared to before, I believe the DPS overall has increased, and also healing and defense has become much easier. In order to keep it in line with the difficulty level of when a content was first implemented, I believe it can't be addressed by a simple scaling of the stats. We would have to readjust the balance on all content, and I'm afraid we're not able to allocate the resources to do so. It's possible to simply unlock all the level 70 actions, but I'm sure the content would feel way too easy then. It's a tough call, but I would like to make an opportunity to hold a serious discussion with the battle team. What this immediately makes me think of is when Ninja was first introduced, and we went back and did Nail and just melted him. And that's not like a new level cap or anything like that. It's just that fight was designed with certain jobs in mind and the way that certain job actions would interact. And Ninja wasn't factored into the design of that fight. And it's the same thing going back, looking at the design of level 50 fights. They weren't designed with all these level 70 tools in mind. And even if you scale them way down, it's still like bringing that whole bag of goodies with you is just going to make all that content a complete face roll, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Or at least it is without some really, really serious, like minuscule level adjustments.
Man, let me tell you about going back to item level 110 second coil Savage when Ninja came out.
It was good fun.
Oh my lord. I was like, what do I even do? It's dying.
It's dead.
It's just dead. What happened?
Well,
okay.
Ninja was really broken overall, I think, when it first came out too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they nerfed it and it was still like crazy good.
Yeah.
They fixed it because the player base came up with a better rotation.
That's the problem that you're going to have, and you're going to have that problem for every single one of the jobs, for every single one of the fights.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
And that's why would you want to put resources into that rather than into producing new content? So I get that. I guess the alternative is, well, does it really matter if it's easy and it's cheese? Just give it to us anyway. If it's not particularly well balanced, just let us face roll through it. Fuck it. Like that's our choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have to agree with that point because the reasons he gives are, we'd have to rescale everything. But they already go back and they buff classes. They remove things. So classes get better or worse depending on how they've been changed. But I mean, just look at Black Mage and all the buffs they've gotten, at least, well, during 2.x. Like they got a lot of buffs to their damage on fire, which is a spell they spam all the time, all the way up. They become killing machines at like level 2 just because of that. So saying that, we have to balance this, we have to balance that, I don't think you need to worry about the balance too much for people who are level 70 and going back doing Totorak.
Right. Well, that's the thing. If the whole party is level 70, then that's fine. Obviously, you can't have someone with all their level 70 abilities and then someone who is at like the appropriate level and have them in the same party competing.
Doomed.
So it would have to be a case of, all right, well, if everyone's at level 70 and if everyone agrees that they want to do this special sync where, their damage gets synced down, but they still got all their level 7 abilities, and fine. But at that point, it's like, well, why don't you just do it
Undersized party.
Yeah, undersized party.
Just bake it into minimum item level. Because otherwise, if you have to make it its own setting, then you have to get the UI team involved and it becomes a whole other mess.
Yeah. So it's a lot of resources and a lot of work for something that is really not that big a deal. It's like you get frustrated for 20 minutes a day when you do your leveling roulette and you're like, shit, what is happening here? Where are all my abilities? And it's like, and then you do it and it's done.
Mm-hmm. Well,
it's just not that big a deal, is it?
So I wasn't actually thinking about the dungeons and everything else when I asked this question. My question was more geared towards like extremes, like primals or like raid fights or something from a Realm Reborn. And I felt like that would feel good having your abilities there, because it's a fight, right? It's not just go through and grind through a whole bunch of monsters and have little mini boss battles until you're done.
But those things melt anyway. You go back and do a level 50 extreme primal, even sinking down, like they just fucking melt. Like the example you used is, what if we want to trial someone? Don't trial them in a ARR extreme mode primal. That's stupid.
Hey, go do minimum
level 70 abilities. It's stupid.
Ethys. Go do minimum I'm level Titan extreme and then come back to me.
Yeah, all right. Okay. That's
there
fair.
are some fights that are challenging, I think, in that way.
You gotta do item level 55 Fontania.
That too.
Ramu, whatever, it's pretty damn challenging just going through that and making sure you do all the mechanics right. And if you had that, maybe if they even went a step further, like, let's just find that sweet spot where we sink the eye level down so much that this is actually challenging content. Instead of minimum eye level, go below minimum eye level. Just go down until it's difficult, right? And then there you go.
Every time you clear it, the minimum item level goes down by 5.
That would be amazing. That's not a bad idea.
But you can just do that. You don't need them.
But then I need to collect all the different gear for it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Come on.
I'm not doing that. Yeah. I'm not collecting. What if I had Eureka for every 10 item levels, maybe, but I don't.
Look, it would be a fun novelty thing to do. I just don't know if it's worth the resources.
The unlocking the job whatever, the actions and everything, I think isn't that crazy of a thought, or for resources and everything else. They could probably do that, but going back and balancing them, that would be a little bit too much.
Well, yeah.
I'd say just unlock them, don't balance it.
Yeah. Screw it. Doesn't matter. It's already screwed up anyways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
All right. I think that pretty much goes over everything. The good part about this is at the very end, he does say it's a tough call, and he would like the opportunity to go back and have a serious discussion with the battle team. So it could be a conversation later down the road. Although that is one of those statements that's like, okay, maybe this will make you happy, and you'll stop asking me.
We might deal with it later.
We might do it.
Please look forward to it. Hi.
All right. With this last one here, Happy, you want to read this one, man?
Sure, I'll do the answer. You'll do the question?
Yeah, I'll do the question here. Yeah. All right, so this one is in regards to Ultimate here. Let me go ahead and throw it on the board. Give me a second here. And then get out these extra spaces. All right. With the positive feedback of adding challenging content like Ultimate, do you plan to eventually add challenging 4-man content as well? There are still many requests for challenging or savage-style dungeon modes to give high-end players more day-to-day content. Now, this is a question that was inspired by Layla. He asked me something in this regards, and I pushed it forward here. And so, Mr. Happy, could you do the honors?
All right, Naoki Yoshida's response. This is yet to be announced, but we are planning to introduce a high-difficulty game content that could be challenged by 4 players, sort of like floors 180 and beyond in Deep Dungeon's Palace of the Dead. But if the intent of your question was, can we get a challenging content that 4 people can tackle a boss battle, then we currently do not have plans for that. Whenever we create a high-difficulty boss battle, we tend to include instant death mechanics, which means if the healer makes one misstep, the player cannot recover from there, so it begs the question, can we even make that fun? I would like to encourage you to first try the content we already have in the works, and please provide your feedback. We should be able to announce it very soon, but we'll see. Now, before you even take a point on this, Frosty, I want to bring up something I had asked Yoshida a while back, because this plays very closely with that. I had asked about Mythic Plus Dungeons, which is a feature in World of Warcraft that has been very well received, even if the rewards are questionably good. And he responded that the next Deep Dungeon would have a means of tackling the difficulty without grinding up floors, the difficulty of 180 plus, without having to grind up 130 floors before you got to it. So for me, this is almost just teasing the next Deep Dungeon.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that. This is saying, next live letter, maybe we'll have something to say about the next Deep Dungeon.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe that is. I think that this might be, unfortunately, the next Palace of the Dead. I was hoping that it would be something a little bit different, because it does look like.
Unfortunately.
Well, I mean.
Is that not an appropriate place for this kind of challenge?
It is, I guess, but it was weird because I was expecting something like Armvale Savage Mode, right?
Let's not do that. Why do you?
Armvale's amazing. But this is something that isn't announced. So there you go. You have a mini hot scoop, right? A mini hot scoop from MogTalk here.
Scoop.
Yeah, one little scoop here, that he's going to release something that is challenging for 4 players, that is sort of like the floors 180 and Deep Dungeon. That's the only thing that kind of puts me off saying that this might be Palace of the Dead, is because he said it's sort of like that.
Yeah, so, it's not going to be Palace of the Dead. It's going to be Jenga Tower.
It's a different. Yeah, it's the Jenga Tower. Probably.
Okay, Jenga Tower. I got you.
Fingers crossed.
It's Deep Dungeon 2. They're going to take what they learned from doing Palace of the Dead, make something new and better, like they did with Diadem 3 times.
Yeah. Okay. All right. The worrisome part about this that he throws in there, the other point that I would want to go over, is that if this was about tackling a boss battle, then this would not be what you're looking for, which is the sad part, right? Because I was kind of hoping that there is some sort of challenging boss that we would encounter with a 4-man team.
I mean, Palace has bosses in it. They're just, you don't need the Holy Trinity to do it. You can technically do them solo. So they're not looking to do battle content like extreme raids for 4-mans just because they don't know a way to balance it without needing to have like a red mage there.
Okay.
I was thinking that the whole time. I was like, just bring a red mage. What does it matter anymore? Just bring 2 red mages. If one of them dies, you have the other one.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Maybe that's the real job balance question, right? When we were talking earlier about introducing jobs and making them unique and everything else and good for meta.
Red mage is for prog, and it gets progressively weaker the stronger you get. It makes no sense, but that's how it works.
Oh, jeez. But, okay, so this is something. You guys are going to have some sort of content for 4 people to get together and do, and it's going to be challenging, and you're not going to have to grind through like the first 30 levels of Palace of the Dead to get to it. It's going to be like, I just want to get into challenging content with 4 people, and you can get into it.
Yeah, I've never done it, but I've heard that the really deep floors of Palace are good fun and good difficulty, but
They're brutal.
But you need to spend 8 hours stabbing yourself in the foot to get there. Like,
and not on the not hard stuff.
Yeah.
To boot.
Yeah.
This sounds really reassuring to me because it seems to be implying that we're not going to be starting at level 1 again.
Oh, I feel like we will.
Yeah, you probably will.
It seems
I just feel like
have to.
So the way that I interpret between this answer and the answer that I had dealt with a while back is that he said the next deep dungeon is about tackling multiple gameplay options simultaneously. So if you want to play in a certain way, or if you're looking for a certain type of experience, you can choose to go to that experience. You can enter with that expectation and not have to go through something you don't want to get to something you do want to. So for me, it's the normal part, which will probably be, I guess, another leveling option from 60 to 70, kind of like Palace of the Dead was from 1 to 60, will be the standard experience with, you know, the weapon, the glowing, with like a type of glowing weapon, or, you know, the lock boxes and the accursed hordes, and probably some new stuff thrown in. They had mentioned they want different objectives that isn't just kill monster, go next floor as another thing, and that could be another gameplay option. So I think for specifically the difficult one, yeah, you probably won't have to start from 1, but the standard experience will probably be that.
So right. I got a question though.
From like 60 or maybe 50.
After Eureka, are we not burned out on leveling?
No, Eureka didn't do that much to me. Because
Eureka wasn't that grindy for leveling.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that grindy for leveling.
Days.
Yeah, it was so overstated. You get it done in a couple of days of going try hard mode, and then it's like, hey, how many Animos weapons do you want? It's like, I would like all of them, please. Oh, well, look at that. You've got 1 billion crystals. Just take everything.
Okay.
It was not grindy. It felt grindy, but it was not grindy. Not really.
I mean, now that people know to do the fate train, right? It's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I actually did do some leveling that wasn't the fate train. We were waiting for something to spawn in the train, but there are some enemies that helped spawn it that nobody was killing. So we, as 8, we went off to the side and we just killed those 3 enemies over and over again, and in an attempt to help spawn it. And in 20 minutes, I got like 40,000 EXP in there, on top of then the boss spawned and I killed him. Yeah. So it was very effective.
Complaining about the chain leveling like not being rewarding enough. It's fine. They're just fucking lazy. They just want to AFK in town until someone else does the work for them.
Yeah, Yoshida reads the translations for these. Let's make sure he understands that it wasn't grindy.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't grindy enough. Can you do more, Yoshida? Can you give us some more?
Look, I'm just saying that people keep saying, "Oh, it's too grindy to do the chain mobs. That's why I'm not doing it." That's not why they're not doing it. They're not doing it because they're fucking lazy, because they're gonna wait for someone else to do it for them.
Kind of those first few days where nobody knew what they were doing, and you're just hanging out with 8 buds sitting there pulling mobs. Like, I hope this spawns an NM at some point. It's like, we'll kill another one of these leshies. Maybe that'll do it. And of course they don't do it. But you know, that was the fun.
Trial and error.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's way off topic.
Okay. Well, the other point to this answer here was him talking about when he creates high level difficulty boss battles, right? He says we intend to create or whenever we create high level boss battles, we tend to include instant death mechanics, which means if the healer makes one misstep, the players cannot recover from there, unless you have a red mage. So this begs to the question, can we even make that fun? And so for them, the challenge is making it to where if you mess up, you die.
Who said anything about
Listen,
fun?
man, House of the Dead 180 plus, if you make one misstep, you're totally as dead as is being described.
Nobody here is asking for fun Savage 4-player.
Yeah.
God forbid.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do you think that they can make content challenging and fun
For 4 players?
For 4 players?
4 players, no.
Okay.
I mean, if that's their hugest concern, they can make it so you have a once per fight, you have a button you can press and it'll res the healer.
Yeah, adding a safety switch that you have a limited number of uses on, I feel like helps sort of alleviate that issue. Again, it's more development time, another feature, another UI. Like then it's a whole nother thing. But
they have the Cairn of Return already. They throw that in there.
Just in the boss room.
Yeah. About it. If you're going to be super serious about it, then you're going to take a red mage or a summoner.
Phoenix Down's able to be used in combat, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be a way to do it too.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
You want it challenging, you want it fun, choose one. Just pick one.
For me, it's both.
Happy's over there in the corner. He's like, I love challenging so much. It's just everything that I want. Oh God, can you take me to the hospital? I'm done with my challenging today.
What is this?
Dude,
is
stabbing,
like...
stabbing.
Oh,
I know what your mind goes to.
I was like, is he cutting his wrist? Is he jerking himself off? Like,
I was gonna say,
it's a pretty high standard you have of me to think that I would be doing that up here.
Yeah,
there's
a guy behind you.
Oh, a guy. Okay, I got it.
I'm gonna hide behind my bag of meats now because I don't want to be part of this conversation.
I'm glad when this gets translated, it's gonna get translated very well. All right, so that's the rating. That's the general part of rating. There's some more stuff that kind of gets close to rating, but that's the meat of the rating stuff that I wanted to talk about. I'm gonna go into a little bit of PvP questions. I know not everybody cares. Yeah, I know not everybody cares. All right.
You guys.
Some of the PvP stuff is a little bit general. Ethys, you played Rival Wings. You got some interest.
We all played it. That's a lot different.
Rival Wings was,
Okay. Well,
give me the second Seal Rock map they were talking about. Which again, now after reading this, I'm not so confident we're getting another Seal Rock map.
Well, we know what we're getting. We have an idea what we're getting now because, but that's the last question here. The first question is going to be Feast. All right, so I have a couple questions about Feast. Not everybody knows everything about Feast, but it's something that Final Fantasy wants to promote. They do care, right? They're like, hey, I want it to be something that becomes something at some point.
Oh, they want it so bad.
They care. That's a great way of putting it. Those are 2 words that have never felt more true.
Yeah. Okay.
They care. Capital they.
So let me talk in a way that, people who do play Final Fantasy XIV and they do play Feast, they are out there. They enjoy it. They exist. These people do have a good time doing it. They made changes recently, okay? They did. They said, hey, this is your map. There's a push and pull. You have a base. When you die, you go back. When someone dies, you have to move back. That's part of the concept of how you do Feast. You kill someone, and then you recover from it. They changed that to where you don't have a base, and they just throw you in the middle, and you just attack each other. And if someone dies, they come back up in a few seconds, and you keep attacking each other. A lot of people were upset about that, so I'm going to read this, and I'm going to answer both of these Feast-like questions, so you guys don't have to deal with it. You don't have to. You know what? I'm going to make Balana actually answer one of these. Hold on. Here we go.
You're going to make him.
I'm going to make you. All right?
Just leaves.
Where's the leave call button? Where is that?
All right. So what are the changes that have been made in 4.2 in regards to Feast aimed towards? Veteran players feel like it's reduced the scope of the meta even more. Is it geared towards bringing in newer players? At the start of the expansion with PvP, it was severely altered and simplified. This feels like another step in that direction. So again, players upset. They feel like it's been dumbed down too much, and it's another step into being dumbed down. And Yoshida's response, Balana?
Yeah, Yoshi P wrote back that our goal with the changes made to 4.2 is to speed up the tempo at which a match unfolds. it was not intended specifically for new players. However, these changes took away the push-pull dynamic of the strategy, and instead of being a big old melee fight in the center of the map. We're currently looking to revise this, so please stand by.
Okay, there you go. Everybody, they're working to revise it. They've already said this, though. This was information that they released, that they said that they were going to change it up. The back and forth is gone, and they need to fix that. But they weren't making these changes. I was kind of under the assumption they were making the changes because they wanted to bring new players in, but apparently they just want to make it look fast because that's entertaining. If you guys watch Feast, how many of you guys watch Feast right now?
Right now?
Yeah. If you watch Feast,
it?
Yeah. Watch someone play Feast. There's some streams out there. They get some viewers.
I've seen Frosty play it.
I've watched Faros do it like once or twice, and
This one guy called Frosty used to stream it all the time, but he doesn't anymore.
Yeah. Was it entertaining?
I mean, I didn't watch, but
I was playing Opera Omni at the same time. I don't remember.
Okay. Fair enough. So that's what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to bring it in so people are excited to watch it. They want people to it to be part of a spectator thing.
Well, then people who play it need to like it.
Yeah, it's true.
I think that. So there's basically a separate team working on PvP, right? We've had that established more or less officially, right?
I haven't seen that. I've heard it from you at this, but I haven't heard it anywhere else.
Okay, that's the impression I'm under. May or may not be true.
Okay,
we'll put it that way. I cannot help but get the feeling that when they make PvP changes, they're kind of groping around the dark a little bit, and there's not really much of a method to it. And they're like, all right, not everyone's playing this, not everyone loves it. Let's try doing this and let's see if that works. Let's see if people like that. No, that doesn't. All right, let's pull it back. Let's try something else. Let's try this. And it's like doesn't seem to really be based on anything. It's like we just keep going through these ideas of ways to change it up, and we keep like, let's try it this way, let's try it that way. Eventually something's going to stick. That seems to be the way they're going about it. And I don't know if there's any other way that they can go about it, but it's just they really, really want people to love PvP in this game, and it's just not.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'm sure they have.
It's just not a PvP game.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have data and numbers about, like class performance, and that's why they do balance changes to the PvP that I always just scroll past on the patch notes.
I think the balance changes are less about balance and more about bringing people in.
Yeah, but then for the actual gameplay changes, that's where I have to agree with you that they're kind of groping around in the dark, just trying stuff and seeing what works. Because I mean, players are fickle creatures. You can never really know what exactly is going to go over well with them. So they're doing the dartboard method for trying to try new things. I think
they need to accept that PvP in 14 is only going to have so much success.
Are you ready for the battle royale mode to come out where people drop down?
You joke about it, but
holy shit,
I 100% feel as if it is the next
Final Fantasy to Hunger Games.
I'm not even kidding. I 100% believe that they're gonna drop 100 players in a map and say good luck.
I hadn't considered it before.
And Red Mages
now you're thinking about it, and you're like,
I mean, that's the direction they look at what other successful PvP games are doing, and they say, oh look, they're using very, very few buttons. They're using, everything's about like movement and positioning and stuff. Okay, well we'll cut down the buttons and we'll try that. It seems like they're just like trying to take other successful PvP, I guess, forms. And like paste it into the engine, and they just need to accept that it's only going to have like a certain modicum of success. I think.
I always feel like the idea is never bad. I don't think Rival Wings is a bad idea the way it is.
It was a great idea.
I just think that they made so many what seemed to be just how could you be oblivious that wasn't going to go over well? Like just specific things about the decision, like one half of the map having the high ground. Sorry, Anakin. And the other half not having it, and that was a huge problem for me. I don't know. I feel like there's always one big detail they miss, and it's the detail that kills everyone's interest.
Yeah. and it burns, man. It's rough because people want to go in there, and some people do want Feast to succeed. They do want PvP overall to succeed. A lot of us have given up that have been playing for a while, and we've just said, well, we just play something else. I mean, you know, it's funny you guys brought that up because one of the interview questions I had before is I asked Yoshida what games he played, and he said the one game that he really wanted to get into was PUBG, but he was afraid of being addicted to it. So we could get it.
I have a mental picture of the PUBG airplane flying by and a bunch of cat girls like
airship.
No, it's just straight up the PUBG like plane.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, Sid made it.
Oh my god. Can we have a crossover event?
Can we not?
But in the end, okay, so they're aware that Feast has issues, right? And they're working to fix it with how they designed the new map. The other part, you guys know about tournaments, right? So they talk about tournaments. It exists somewhere in the ideas and in the minds of the development team. They want tournaments for Feast. Mm-hmm. Are you guys excited for tournaments? I don't see it. I don't see it.
If they're well done, I can watch any esports event as long as it's well done. So, but I cannot watch it on a live stream. I would like just watch somebody play that mode on a live stream.
Do you think if they had a really well done Feast tournament, it would boost interest in PvP overall? No. No?
But people would be like, well, that tournament was done pretty well. Wow, I'm really glad they could take that and do something with it.
If there was a big enough prize behind it, I'd say yes.
I agree with that.
Okay.
I think the goal is always for all of this, like I said, the goal seems to be to grow the PvP community, to get more people playing PvP. And I don't think that's the right way to go about it because only so many people are going to play it. They just need to accept that. And they need to make the experience you know, as I guess wholesome as rewarding for those people that are playing it, and just be satisfied with that.
So this is the question. I'm gonna go. This is my second PvP question. We won't stick too long on it because I know you guys don't care that much, and most people are here for raid stuff. But it is important because there's a detail that they put into development, I think. But I'm gonna say but again. You ready? But many players who have stopped playing Feast contributed to the lack of excitement for rewards, or knowing what's next for Feast. After earning the armor from the previous tier, they didn't have any incentive to reach the top 100 for the next, because it was the same armor with just a recolor of it. And then while there are hints of tournaments, we don't really have a lot of information on it. What should players be excited for, and what are the plans to keep them excited in regards to Feast? All right, how are we going to make people excited? All right, you ready for that answer? I'm going to do it myself.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yoshida said, we are revisiting the rewards, and we intend on providing rewards that can satisfy our players to the best of our abilities moving forward. Also, I'm thinking of eventually holding a tournament in which players can compete for the #1 spot in a particular region, and I've been busy to make preparations for that. In order to run an official tournament, there needs to be a very clear set of regulations. For example, what devices are acceptable. We need to establish rules that will not allow for any foul play. I'm afraid that it's taking time, but I appreciate your patience. What's your thoughts, Happy? Come on.
Listen.
All right.
Rewards, incentive, those are big things. I think the tournament, as we just kind of said, would be like kind of the only incentive you could realistically give people that would have any sort of staying power. It's just, I feel like no matter how they revise these rewards, it just doesn't make people like it anymore.
People were so upset.
Yeah, I just now imagine even more threads about how, man, it sucks I have to be top 100 to get this piece of this mount or something. It's the only way to get it in the game because I would really like it. And I just imagine all sorts. And then I imagine the people who are still PvPing and already get those rewards every season just being like, all right, I don't care. All right, let me get in the top 100 then not play for the next 3 months because there's no rank degradation or anything along the lines to even incentivize me to play after I've already qualified for it.
Mm-hmm. It's the same problem, isn't it? The rewards compel people to play. They compel more people to get into the content.
But the system itself doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and then they get there and they get their reward. Are they still enjoying it? They're going to hang around. Like, that's what you need to look at.
Mm-hmm.
I also have an issue with the fact that it's top 100, but there are some roles that are clearly easier to get top 100 in than others. I at least think that you need to take top 100 of each of the 4 different roles if we're talking about solo queue.
No,
Okay.
I can go with that. The only thing is that eventually you probably have to break that down into different jobs too, right? Because some jobs.
Well, you can only have what is it? It's one melee, one ranged, and that could be a caster or a physical ranged.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously then there's still meta, but it's still better than only 100 people.
Right. And where you get 90 healers that
Yeah,
their
it's like
mounts.
90 healers, and then they all stop playing because there's no rank degradation.
Yeah. That's probably one of the biggest issues right now is that the role balance doesn't really it sides too much in a favor. It needs to make it to where it's, like you said, split up in a way so people can be encouraged to be a good melee, be a good tank, be whatever. Oh, there's less people playing melee. I can easily rank up that. Let me rank that up. Then you have more people out there playing melee roles and queues are faster. I don't know. I feel like there needs to be some sort of separation there. But the other part about the tournament is kind of the other thing that we should at least touch on, is that he's talking about he doesn't want foul play. Do you know how easy it is to have foul play in PvP?
Well, if you're at a live event, you can't speed hack, so
Yeah, there's that.
presumably.
Right?
But he's saying he doesn't want to have live. He wants to have, an online tournament that people in each region can compete in, not necessarily have a live event. I mean, it'd be cool to end it with a live event.
They've teased the live that they're doing the live because they said they're doing something that's like FanFest, but they don't want to talk about it too much.
Yeah, but how do you do qualifiers then?
You have to do them online. They have to start somewhere.
Well, there you go. That now every speed hacker can suddenly qualify, get flown out for some event, and then show up and be horrible. Like,
it's true. And so that's one of the things he's having issues with. He's like, how do we make it to where there's not any foul play in it? And of course, the idea for a live
qualify them. You can tell if someone's speed hacking.
Well, I mean, okay, you can tell if someone's speed hacking, but you can't tell if someone's like logging into someone's account. I mean, I guess you could go into like the IP records and everything else, but if someone's going out there and feeding an account, right? Like, how do you tell this stuff?
Yeah, there's a lot of more ways to exploit it than just speed hacking or Ruin 4 proc hacking or whatever people decide to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what people do in PvP nowadays.
That's a good question.
You could bait queue against your alt accounts or whatever.
ACT. Right?
Yeah, you can run ACT, which is gives you at least a tiny bit of an advantage. And
yeah,
well, what's legal, what's not? Is it okay if you only queue at 2 a.m. and play against your other characters? Like, the current system just has so many ways to poke holes in it that they would have a lot of work ahead of them to set up any sort of tournament that's not entirely run in person at a venue somewhere.
Yeah, like having little mini tournaments in every city or something until they have like a big tournament in the end is the only way you could get around that stuff. But they're not going to fund that.
Yeah, well, they need to put in the resources of a big sort of PvP game in order to make sure that there weren't a whole bunch of exploits, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, are they gonna allocate those resources? Is that worthwhile? Are they gonna commit that once again to trying to grow the PvP player base? It's just another shot in the dark, isn't it?
Yeah. So I guess we'll see how that works out. I mean, they did talk about devices, because that was the biggest complaint about. I was in the FanFest tournament, by the way. I lost the first round.
You ran the wrong way.
Yep, ran the wrong way. But so in that case, they were upset about the devices because no one knew what devices they were using, and they were used to their own mice and they were used to their own keyboards, and so people had to go in there and just kind of make the best of it. I think they've learned from that, and they're probably going to have to release the information on what devices they're going to allow, because there's going to be something at FanFest. Right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
It's just, how do we qualify for that at FanFest? How do they create that system before FanFest happens to have enough time to say, oh, well, these people here are trying to come into the tournament? Because not all people in top 100 are going to be able to go to the tournament, right? They're not going to fly out.
Wasn't FanFest like open registration? And
yes, it was.
And only like
they have to change that, right?
Like,
yeah, there was not that many people that put their hand up for it.
Yeah.
I think it would probably be the same. If they do something at FanFest, it would be open registration.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
That's if they don't take the tournament part seriously. That's what I would think.
Yeah, it's just for the live event.
For this FanFest coming up, there's not enough time yet.
No. All
Period.
right. Well, the last question, something you guys might be able to relate at least a little bit to, is there's a question about can we ever expect to capture the flag?
I've been asking this for years, and I feel like I've never gotten. Just
never get the right answer to it. What's the answer to it, Happy?
Of course, I can't say that it will never happen. But we're currently working on the next installation of Rival Wings, which is my disappointment, which was received well This will take some time before we can reveal more information, but development is moving along, so I hope you look forward to more information. I feel like the first half of that, it
was received
for about 4 days, yeah.
Yeah.
And then everyone went back to Seal Rock and Shatter.
Yeah. I mean, I made the point when it came out that it compelled people that hadn't been playing PvP to pick up PvP and have a little bit of a go at it. It's just that you went and did that, and then you looked at the other PvP modes and played a little bit of them, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember why I don't play this very much.
Yeah.
Ethys, you're playing it for a while, man.
I was playing it for a while, but that's the thing. I was playing for a while, and then
just done.
All right.
They had mentioned a new Seal Rock map a few months back. We haven't heard anything about it in a while, and now I hear they're working on the next Rival Wings, and I'm sad.
You're sad about it. Yeah,
sad.
It's kind of weird that they are going back in that direction for just another MOBA-esque or whatever, MOBA-esque type PvP.
Well, I feel like Astrologos will be the only MOBA-esque Rival Wing. I feel like Rival Wings is good. Like, that's why I said I wouldn't be surprised if there was a Battle Royale Rival Wings, because I feel like Astrologos is going to be the only one that does that. And the other ones are going to have their own rule sets and their own different, I guess, goals, kind of like the way Frontlines does it.
Right.
Could be Capture the Flag. Who even knows?
Well, it's not Capture the Flag for the next one. Because he basically said no. Of course, I can't say it will never happen, but we're currently working on the next installation of How
That could just mean he doesn't want to tell us, though.
If you say so, man. All right, that's PvP. We're done with PvP. You guys, you ready? Back awake?
All right, yeah, I'm back.
That's all right. I'm on my third cup of coffee. I went through 2 just for PvP alone.
Oh, jeez. Man, I'm going to be honest with you. I'll do my little spill. PvP's fun, dude. Feast is fun. I have fun with it.
I'm glad you have a good time,
yeah.
Frost.
It exists, guys.
Great.
People don't all hate it.
It exists.
It exists. And I enjoy it. I'm one of the rare few.
It. Just no one gets...
No one's compelled to play it.
Exactly.
Or I'm sorry, Frosty. Very few people are
hate it. It's just like... I'd rather not.
I'd rather not, yeah.
Fair enough. All right. The next question is going to be about the World Race. And I have 3 of these questions. They're not all about the World Race, but this one in particular, I have a particular interest in the World Race. You guys might know why. I don't know. You guys might have an idea why.
I've heard whispers of a thing.
Of a digital thing that might...
It's like a digital thing, yeah. It's the word pro-ingress is somewhere in there.
Some sort of site on a World Wide Web.
Yeah. I've spent over the last week about 80 hours of trying to learn how to code in web development. 80 hours is a little exaggeration. It's closer to 50.
That's quite a bit of hyperbole there.
Yeah, and so I've been spending a lot of time on this. I'm hoping that I could provide something for you guys by the time Ultimate comes out, but it's rough. I do have a new artist on board. You guys might know who she is, Noriko Star, and she's going to be working on some of the graphics.
I don't know. I was about to get off on the tangent story about Nari. We'll talk about it later.
Okay, fair enough.
It's just a funny one just from a few weeks back that made me laugh.
Okay, you gotta explain it now. I feel
like it was on Twitter. It's just she noticed something on tweet and she was like, "Wait, what?" And it's not relevant to now.
Okay,
just don't worry about it.
All right. Fair enough. All right. So my question was about the World Race. It seems like the World Raid Race seems to be gaining some sort of traction each major patch. There was even an official tweet crediting the 3 teams that cleared Kefka the fastest. After releasing a major patch, how closely does your team watch the World Race do you have someone dedicated to monitoring it? So I was extremely curious about this because I don't know what happens when the release is done. I don't know if they sit there like in a GM style, invisible in the corner of a room watching like raid teams clear and stuff. But
Much everything.
Yeah.
All the time.
Okay. Balana, do you want to answer this one?
Yeah, I can hop right in on this one.
All
So, Naoki Yoshida, Yoshi P himself, wrote back, right after a raid goes live, we used a dedicated tool that automatically checks the logs of that content so we can watch which player, which free company, which team is fighting the boss, and in what way. At the same time, if people have a live stream, we continuously watch the stream, and simultaneously, the operations team will look at the social channels of the teams participating in the raid race. Additionally, when the raid race comes to an end, we don't just check the log results. From here, we go in and manually see the finer details, including which team killed the boss and in what way, and what time did that moment happen, and other things like that, etc. We go through all of this, so that's why it takes a little bit of time before the end of the race is announced. In any case, we are all excited as we watch over the race. I'm really looking forward to watching the race for the next Ultimate.
Okay.
And so that's the end of his response there, and that's something we kind of knew before because I think it was T7, the technical like world first was a team that like clipped into the roof and avoided all the mechanics that way.
That team was on Sargatanas.
Yeah,
I know because they then cleared turn 8 an hour later, and then all got banned.
yeah. So.
I mean, it's pretty interesting. He described a little bit about how he does it. Is that he has a tool that tracks logs of the content.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're sitting in the room. They're just looking. They have a tool that's saying, "Hey, this is being done. These fights are happening." I don't know. Maybe it gives like health percentages or something of like the boss. But there's actually a dedicated tool they developed so they can monitor these fights. I didn't
Sounds
know.
like the raid recorder, but better.
Yeah.
And actually works on content.
Well, I mean, they probably don't get like an actual visual playback. They can probably like recreate it from the logs.
That's what the duty recorder does. The duty recorder recreates it based on the logs.
Yeah, so they probably have that to go and review it afterwards. And then they probably just be looking at the plain text logs or whatever comes by and like, oh, look, they killed it. Cool.
So I don't know. I just thought that was a little bit interesting because I thought they would just go out and actually look at the fight. Like you would have someone just sitting there looking at a monitor with multiple people attempting the boss, and they're just staring at it.
Well, you would miss so much doing it that way.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. They would need some sort of tool to kind of make sense of it, which a tool to record the logs makes sense.
Yeah, something that can filter out certain things.
Yeah.
On GumX.
The second part of this is what's kind of interesting here too, is that he watches live streams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said he's done that. He's done that before in the previous ones. Because when they had a 5150, when they had the interview with them, I remember them mentioning that they pulled up a lot of the streams back then.
But I don't know, man. I didn't actually think that's what happened. I thought maybe it was just something he said, like, oh yeah, we pull up a stream every once in a while. I didn't think it was like, hey, we sit there and continuously watch a stream.
I mean, they probably have that on like whenever it's on the background at work because like it's your baby. It's your baby. You put it out there. You want to see everybody. You put it out in the world and you see everybody interact with it and having a good time. Like, why wouldn't you just want to have that on the background?
It's true. So
you read your comment section, right, Frosty? I'm just saying, like you want to engage with the feedback.
Yeah.
Right, actively. That's the most important thing.
Right. Well, honestly, from this response, I hope people who maybe haven't streamed their progress before might stream their progress if they want to have Yoshida just sit there and watch them.
Watching.
I think that would be interesting.
That's the only motivator.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yoshida's watching. I want Yoshida to sit there and watch. You want your raid to be up on a monitor somewhere in the Square Enix office? There you go.
Yeah, make sure you all get your hair done. Yeah. Clean pressed shirts.
Oh, they don't put cameras up. I put every goddamn raider that comes on this show doesn't have a damn camera, except for like a few. Balana, Happy. Nice. Oh yeah, that's right. Happy does raid content, doesn't he?
I'm in his raid group. I'm in Balana's raid group.
I do raid content.
Yeah. Do you
kinda?
Yeah.
On Harry's channel.
Without your camera?
Without my camera?
Sure.
Oh, it's alright. He's better looking than I am anyway.
Oh my god. We don't want to go into this right now.
Right now, but later.
Later, we'll talk about your insecurity of your attractiveness there.
Okay.
All
right.
So, additionally, when a race comes to an end, we don't just check the logs for results. We actually go and manually see the finer details. Which team killed the boss, in what way, and at what time did it actually happen. So, they're checking, as you guys have said before, they actually go in and verify that you legitimately cleared the content. That you're not speed hacking, you're not doing whatever else. So the first few people that clear it, they can say with confidence, these people cleared it the way it should have been cleared.
They did not use Unger Max.
No Unger Max. They were not tempted
those
for it.
ones that were obviously looking close enough.
Yeah.
Just the ones kind of in the middle, like maybe a couple of hundred down the list. They started to get a little bit tired and let that one slip.
Yeah, after about 100, they're like, okay, we'll stop watching. We're fine. We're done.
Is this Unger Max? Oh, that must be a machinist ability. Yeah.
Nice at this. Nice. Okay. And then let's see. We go through all this, and so that's why it takes a little bit of time before they announce. That makes sense. And he's looking forward to the next ultimate. So after reading this, I'm actually anticipating Yoshida. They release the content. He's going to sit back in his chair. He's going to have like 5 monitors up. And he's just going to sit there with a bag of popcorn watching Twitch and people raid.
I want a video on the official 14 channel of just Yoshi P the day of Ultimate coming out. I just want it.
Yeah.
Just to like see the actual thing. Like
live
people
live stream him watching other people raid. Why not?
Even just release a video like a few days later of just him. I just want to see what it actually looks like in the office that day. That's what I want. That's all I want to know. I just want to know what that actually looks like.
You think it's gonna be something exciting, but it's just a whole bunch of people sitting at their desks, hard at work on the next patch already.
I'd like to think they do like a little viewing party or something.
Yeah, I'd like to believe that too.
We'd all like to think this. I mean, he had a vacation once Heaven's Word was released.
Yeah. We don't want to talk about that.
So I mean, he does treat his employees relatively well, I would think. Right?
He gave him a vacation.
Relatively well. Yeah, he probably treats them all right.
Treats them all right. So he probably lets them have a little pizza party after content, unless if something goes completely wrong. And they're all sitting around like eating pizza and just watching.
I just imagine him with the little hat on.
A little hat, a birthday hat or something?
Yeah, like a little birthday hat and a pizza.
Imagine Yoshida going up to his programs and being like, is that fucking pineapple on that pizza? You're fucking fired. Get out.
It's done. It's done. All right.
It's done.
Let's go over this next question here. This is a question, again, relating to me a little bit, right? Something that I figured I wanted to ask is, although this is something that has been asked by a lot of people who do web development, and basically I'm just asking, many people in the community or web developers have requested an API to work with. This is something like companies like Blizzard have known to do. This is something Final Fantasy XIV team will eventually create for those inspired to grow the community with their own creations. For an example, someone who wanted to make a website to track when a character cleared a certain boss the first time.
I feel like this is the add-on question without using the word add-on.
Almost. I did point it towards websites.
The website design, yeah, but once an API is available, everyone else's brain shifts in the other direction.
Right. So this has been requested before. People want something to work with, although people know the fears of what happens when someone has something to work with, right? We could just be Blizzard with 10 billion add-ons. I don't know. I felt like this is something, at least from the web development side would be nice, just because it would help people make things that people would like, that would bring more people into Final Fantasy 14. No?
No, it would absolutely would. But
okay.
I don't even need to read the answer
to
know what it's going to say.
All right. Ethys, do you want to read the answer to this?
Sure.
Okay.
So Yoshida says, unfortunately, we do not have any plans to provide web API at the moment. This is not simply because our policy does not allow it, but also because the team handling web-related matters have their own development tasks as well, and so they cannot allocate the time to distribute and maintain an API. We're currently working on a dedicated Final Fantasy XIV companion app. I should be able to show it off at places like the Live Letter and whatnot very soon. Once that's settled, a big update to Mog Station is complete, then we may be able to start work on it. That being said, if I come up with a different idea, we will probably prioritize that there.
So I'm going to highlight that last bit because that was the most...
yeah, there's literally...
if we can think of something else. This is like...
So we've been hearing about this companion app an awful lot. We've been hearing about it since a Realm Report.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
It's been an idea since then, at least.
Yeah, and I mean, we haven't heard about it for a long time. The last we heard about it is that they were going to launch it in Japan. It was going to be a Japanese-only thing, at least, in beta or whatever. I think it's really important that we keep hammering them with these questions about this app and about APIs and stuff like that, because they say they're going to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if they're not going to do it, then just fucking let us do it.
I think,
please, just let us do it. Either let us do it or fucking do it.
You got a point.
The last time I heard a question about the add-ons, I think it sounded like they just given up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're sick of hearing it, but the thing is, it's because people are sick of being told that they're working on these companion apps and stuff, and not like really appearing to be making progress on it. It's like the community could produce stuff like that within a couple of weeks. So if you guys don't have the resources to do it, just let us do it for you.
Well, that would require a web API, which they literally do anything.
Well, yeah, that's like, instead of working on the companion app, just create an API that we could make a companion app.
Questions like this, they might seem completely fruitless and like we know what the answer is going to be. Whereas I think it has the effect of at least like giving them a bump and reminding them that this is something that we want, and that maybe, hey, Yoshida, maybe you should look into what the progress is on that companion app.
Yeah, I agree. There's at least merit in asking them.
We got more updates about Final Fantasy XI Mobile from Yoshi than we got about this companion app.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not looking good.
So the answer to this is you can probably never expect an API. 100%.
That's my interpretation.
Yeah, never expect it. Although he gives that statement at the end. He's like, when we're done with this and this, and I might tell them, unless if I think of something else to do, then they're going to totally do that instead of this thing that we don't really care to do for
If they completely run out of shit to do.
If it's either fire my API guys or make them actually do that, I mean, I guess we'll give them a job for a little bit,
Yeah. Oh, so I'm not going to expect that. I'm going to develop my website without an API, guys. Like I wasn't planning on doing that already.
I mean, websites like the Hunt Trackers work with. I mean, did we just that's all player inputted, and that goes. It goes. It works like 80% of the time until someone wants to mess with it.
This website could completely get screwed over with strictly player input.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Just 20%.
But yeah, we're not going to expect that anytime. Companion app, hopefully on the live letter. He said he should be able to tell us more about the live letter. Okay, so back into the mix of everything. We'll look at it at the live letter.
No, he didn't say at the next live letter. He said at places like the live letter, and somewhere next year where it probably won't show up again then.
Yeah. And Mog Station update. You guys are excited about that?
Yo, it's got a shopping cart now.
It's got that cart.
Great.
You fill it up with 40 Fantasias all at once now.
You know what I really, really want from the Mog Station more than anything else? Gift cards.
Yeah?
Yeah, gift cards.
That could be cool.
It used to, when you used to be able to buy those cards that had Krista on them, that was the closest thing you could do, but you can't get those anymore.
No.
All right. we're on the last question. I'm gonna have we're gonna have Happy here read the answer to it. It's a very short, direct question, which is pretty simply stated. Where is blitzball? 2 question marks. Not just one.
That's how you know it was a really important question.
It was really important. I wanted
Only
to know.
you could have thrown an exclamation mark between the two, and it would have just
that would have been a little bit too
skyrocketed.
forced. I think that would have been too aggressive, right? Just where is blitzball? Where is it at? All right, Happy. Where does Yoshida say we are with blitzball?
There are 2 plans drafted, but it's currently still pending. One idea is to recreate blitzball just like it was in Final Fantasy X. I'm sure there are lots of people who want this, but I can't shake my concern that people would get tired of this after playing through it just once. That's because for a form of playable content in any MMORPG, one playthrough takes a long time. We can reward elegant tomestones, but if the player wants to gather tomestones, they would just run something more time efficient. Then, let's say we implement a designed swimwear, but once the swimwear incentive is gone, we won't play it anymore. We know that from experience that something that may be fun as a game does not necessarily work within an MMORPG. Yeah, you learned that after Lords of Armenia. Yeah. The other idea is an MMORPG like Blitzball, where you recruit NPCs from various regions to create your own team. The player would then send out the teams to matches to strengthen them through training. Squadrons. If you could imagine existing games that involve coaching characters or simulation games, the idea would be akin to those. For an MMORPG, I believe the game design would be better received. But in this case, I can anticipate feedback along the lines of, this is not Blitzball. So it's giving me quite the headache. Do you have any good ideas?
Sad face. I think we'll go over that last point, the very last point at the end here, because I think that's very important that we understand that he asked us if we have any good ideas. We've been tasked here.
I've got a great idea. Don't do it.
Come on, Happy. Come on, man. There's already 2 plans.
They told us that 6-7 months ago that they had 2 plans.
Good ideas.
That's the only 2 options. They just went into more detail about option number 2 this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I feel about option number 2. I mean, because we already have squadrons. It'd basically just be another like squadron.
We could just take our squadrons and they can play blitzball.
There you go. You just port it over to that because Happy doesn't want to dump any more money into this at all. He doesn't want any development going towards blitzball. He hates the idea. I think it'd be pretty cool.
Someone was paid to draft this plan.
I mean, I wouldn't want it to be like blitzball in Final Fantasy X, where you're kind of like managing the whole team at once. I think it'd be cool if you had like a 4v4 blitzball you queued 8 people into, had NPCs fill out if there's not enough people playing it, and
maybe this is the new Rival Wings.
Don't say that.
A lot of people throw around hutball.
Yeah.
When they're looking at that kind of way of doing it.
I mean, it would be a completely different rule set. It wouldn't be like PvP, because hutball is basically just a PvP match, capture the flag that you can throw the flag.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably do that, but I mean, that's not really blitzball then. That's fighting while throwing a ball around.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of blitzball. It's fighting in water while throwing a ball
But you'd be
around.
shooting spells around and stuff. Like, I think it'd have to be like a whole mode where you're playing a character on the blitzball field, you're swimming around, passing the ball between your teammates and stuff. Like, wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't you want to go play blitzball?
Here's the way I would really like to see it. Make it like a turn-based tactical thing. Have any of you guys played Blood Bowl?
Yeah. Well, the old one. The old one,
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
Well, that's fine. I mean, Blood Bowl hasn't really changed. Make it like Blood Bowl.
Okay. Okay.
Make it like Blood Bowl and put it on like 3 planes.
Like 40 chess.
Yeah.
So
Are gonna be great. I'm excited.
the reason it's not out, we know it's because they're having difficulty making it. That's basically what he said. We're having a hard time making it. We're having a hard time. Yeah.
They don't even have a plan of attack yet. They're asking us for any good ideas. So not anytime soon is when blitzball is coming. That's the answer. Happy. You can at least be delighted that it's not going to be in the near future. But I think having, like an actual multiplayer full-on like sport thing you could do could be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because they've shown such a great track record of putting players up against each other and it being well received, right?
Yeah. Definitely.
Look, I just had 3 questions dedicated to this kind of content, Happy. Obviously, there's some sort of importance to it.
Yeah, Frosty likes it.
Jeez, I like it. That means
Yeah.
a fourth of the population likes it because there's 4 people here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A fourth of the population.
We're extrapolating from our sample size.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Wait.
I got alcohol downstairs.
Okay.
You think that we 4 represent the key demographics
In this MogTalk
Final
sample
Fantasy
size
14?
right here.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously a quarter of the people are casuals, 50% are hardcore raiders, and a quarter of them really like the lore.
Yeah, and they're all pale white guys.
Yeah.
With beards, -1.
-1, yeah. Sometimes they're crazy enough to shave it off. So, okay, the first option here is they want to implement the same thing as Final Fantasy X, but he's already saying that he thinks people are going to get tired of it. They don't want to do it. He pretty much shut it down. He's like, it doesn't... People are going to get bored. It's going to take a while, and it might not be what they would want it to be, which is fun content. All right?
It would definitely not be along those lines, no.
Some people enjoy blitzball, Happy.
I fucking
Great.
love
There's
it.
all right. So I have this great idea.
Okay.
If you love blitzball,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
luckily for the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Steam, and Vita, there's this fantastic game called Final Fantasy X. You can play that.
But you can't play against your friends.
Yeah.
If you could, is it really going to be great going and hiding in the goal and passing back and forth to level up your characters? Because that's all anyone does.
It's gonna be more fun. I remember my twin brother and I were obsessed with Final Fantasy X and with Blitzball when it first came out. And we were like, oh my God, imagine if we could play as against each other. Wouldn't that just be the fucking coolest thing ever?
You're young and dumb.
Well, then I still am, because I would pay $100 for a PvP Blitzball mode.
Happy?
Now
Are you
I'm
literally
really
the only
regretting
one?
that these get translated.
Are you literally the only one here that's like really against it?
Yes.
No one else here is against it. I think you're on your own, dude.
They've done worse things to the Gold Saucer.
Yeah.
They're looking this. They're trying to set the bar lower if this comes out.
I want you guys to appreciate this. Normally, when you see Mike pulling this face, he's like hamming it up, and it's like a bit of a meme. This is the one topic where he's just so sincerely exasperated. I love it. Beautiful.
Okay,
It's
so
beautiful.
let's say I put this content in here. Not everybody likes it, but he wants people to do it. They could reward tombstones, and people can gather it, but it would not be time efficient, so people probably wouldn't do it for that. They could put swimwear in there. Makes sense, blitzball. But once people get swimwear, they're done, right? This is the problem they've had with lots of content that they put out there.
Make it like Triple Triad, where you have the tournaments and you have exclusive rewards.
Oh yeah, that went over great.
So people can transfer to Solera and just go get their cards.
Because at the tournaments, there was no problems with those.
No. There's no match rigging or anything like. I mean, they eventually figured it out. They've got it now. Although I did have, Terra transferred to Solera for a few weeks just to go win all the tournaments over there, and then transferred back.
I love
You know what? Have fun on Zalera for the blitzball tournaments.
Yeah, you go there, you win all the swimwear, and then you come back. It'd be a good time. They make more money off the world transfers. It's a win-win.
So you guys are on board with it being a sports management thing. Okay. The only thing...
Don't say you guys are on board here.
We guys.
You sensible guys. Is that better, Happy? I included a range that was excluding you.
We unhappy few here are pretty cool with this.
Us non-happy people over here enjoy being
The most literal sense, yeah.
Oh, jeez. All right. So, at the very end is actually probably my favorite part. Is that he pretty much said... He asked us for ideas. They're at a state where they're asking us for ideas. And not only did he ask us for ideas, he put...
good ideas.
He asked us for good ideas. He put a sad emoji there. He put an emoji that was a sad face at the very end of the statement asking for ideas. We've all been tasked, except for Happy, with coming up with
he tasked me. I already gave him my ideas.
So... He wants blitzball to happen. Everybody wants blitzball to happen. He knows if he puts blitzball in here, everybody except for Happy is going to be happy. Right?
The irony.
Yeah, the irony to it. He wants suggestions. So if you guys want to have suggestions for blitzball, this is your time to do it. If you know a way, you can think of the way that Final Fantasy XIV is designed, and you can make content that does not equate to Lords of Verminion, but instead, what's a good side content that people like?
Eureka.
Eureka? Is that it? No?
Sure.
Wait, no. Lords of no. Chocobo race. Triple try.
They all have like their merits, but they've never really grasped everyone fully.
Right, so this is the opportunity to grasp everyone.
Airship venture, submarine venture,
Housing.
There you go.
I don't own a house. I have no interest.
You don't want your house to be replaced with a blitzball stadium?
Yeah, I would. Because I don't care about houses. I would rather.
That's it. We can make our own stadiums. Build your own stadiums. Invite your friends.
And then never use them.
You can jump into it and like swim around, when you're AFK. Instead of just jumping, you could like swim.
All right, if you want to do that and it's not even a feature, it's like they don't even play blitzball. If they just put a giant, you can just replace your house with a blitzball stadium and swim around in it.
Yeah,
all right, you got me on board.
Then you RP blitzball with /randoms. There you go.
Okay, all right, that's a cop out.
You've been on Gilgamesh too long.
All right. That was my last question. I figured that would finish it off pretty well. It's just asking about blitzball and making sure that we took care of that.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. No problem at all. Overall, I think this interview was pretty well. I think, not pretty well. I think it was pretty good, right? It was actually, the answers overall were not all just, hey, sorry, I can't give you the information. It was, here's some good information. I'll give you more later.
Please look forward to it. Hi.
Yeah. Even though you guys apparently knew some of this stuff, Happy, you apparently knew some of this stuff already, and I just didn't know it. Maybe I just don't pay attention enough. For example, about the 4-man content.
Well, the thing is, it's been so long since the statement was made in my old thing that getting something more recent is refreshing.
It is stuff that comes up from time to time, and it's important to keep chasing it.
Mm-hmm.
And we know it's at least in development. Mm-hmm. They're making it. He can say that much at least. I think that's pretty much what he said, right? Are we taking it too far?
It's always it's always different. We have an idea versus we'll announce something soon.
Right.
And
so the live letter, in how soon is the live letter? In a week and a half?
April 14th, so it's 2 days to the day.
Oh, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
2 weeks to the day, not 2 days to the day.
Yeah, it's okay. We all trip up sometimes, Happy. I mean, I'm usually perfect with English, so I can't relate too much. But that being said, we have tons of information we can expect in the next 2 weeks. Besides that, they're going to be probably announcing the new 24-man raid. I feel like I kind of forgot about the 24-man. Yeah, Ethys. I kind of forgot about it.
I didn't. I'm excited. 4.3. So 0.3 patches are always where the expansions blossom. Well, I look back to 2.3 and 2.5 as big areas. 2.3 being Savage Second Coil. I looked at 3.3 with the decent relic step, as well as deep dungeon and treasure maps were out already. The treasure dungeons were out. They always seem to just the 0.3 patch. If something wasn't right before, this is the patch where it usually turns around. And 4.3 looks to be a lot of the same. Rebuilding the Doman Enclave, the 24-man raid, Ultimate, possibly the next Deep Dungeon, next Eureka update, more Hildebrand, main story, next Four Lords installment.
I agree with that. Yeah, the 0.3 is usually the peak, and then subsequent is building into the next expansion and starting to get things ready.
Well, it's the midpoint. You got 2 before you got 2 ahead of you. We're right in the middle. This is
we might have more than 2 ahead of us.
Well, we might have 0.6, 0.7 like they talked about, but
How much would that suck if we all went to FanFest and there's no expansion announcement?
They literally said FanFest. They've told us so many times FanFest is only for expansion, because they said if they do, that's why they don't do it every year. Because if they did one every year and they didn't announce an expansion, people would be like, "Well, what the?"
So if we're gonna keep on schedule, and I was gonna make a rough adjustment here to them pushing FanFest 1 month, and say, hey, they push FanFest 1 month, so maybe we'll have one more month of content we need to go through. So maybe one more patch.
Well, see, within reason, this makes sense, because right now there's on average a 5-month gap between the last piece of content and then the next expansion. If you create a 6-month gap, that's like just about the halfway point. There is when you'd expect a patch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
So,
but they've done the larger 0.55 patches.
Yeah.
They did the big one for Realm Reborn. I don't remember how big it was for Heavensward, because Realm Reborn it was Gold Solid.
Heavensward's when we got Diadem 2.0.
Yeah, they put a lot of work into that. You know, they did have this history of doing kind of a bigger last patch.
Okay.
So they might just formalize it into being a 0.6 instead.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. Just to do it. Screw it. All right, so things we've learned. What things have we learned today? Happy, what'd you learn from this interview?
Just don't get any further with blitzball. I'm glad you're stuck.
You guys just... Happy's glad they're stuck on blitzball. Okay.
Son of a bitch.
Balana, what'd you pull from this interview?
I pulled that if they're going to add blitzball, they need to make Mr. Happy's character into one of the recruitable people that you can have on your team, so everybody can have their own little Mr. Happy.
What am I, the ball?
Scooting around.
Kick you around, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's all right. I'd be okay with it.
Sounds like a Denmo video in the making.
Probably. Ethys.
I learned, I guess, that we've got hard statistics for what we've all been suspecting recently, and that's that Raid is probably in the healthiest and strongest place it's been in the lifetime of the game. There's more people completing Savage than ever, and there's more people excited for Ultimate than ever. It's awesome.
All right. Well, I hope this interview was enjoyable for at least some of you guys to hear us just sit here and talk about it for like 2 hours now. And it hasn't been a complete snooze fest. I know PvP existed there for a little bit, and it's disappointing. It hurts my heart every time that I talk about PvP, and people are like, I don't care. I feel like I'm taking a child and I'm dragging him to the dentist.
I feel like I blacked out for a portion of the show.
It's like you when we do lore stuff together.
Look, I'm interested in lore stuff, right? It's not like, maybe I'll make that my PvP section next time. I'll just have a lore section. And we'll do that instead. But I don't know, man. I just don't know a lot of stuff. I don't pay attention to lore. And so when you ask me things, I'm like, what? Yeah. Who leads Gridania?
Yeah.
I don't know. Right? It's a lady. So that's why I wouldn't do so good with trivia questions. But I'm okay with it. As long as you make like baby questions for me, I can usually answer them.
Yeah, I took second actually in FC Trivia Night last time, so I'm in there.
Well done.
Yeah, Elysium does Trivia Night, and I don't feel good entering. I've seen she has questions, and they're not nearly as bad as Ethys is, like in terms of difficulty. I'll tell you that much.
All right. Well, is there anything else you guys want to comment on before we finish up here and do shout-outs? Anything else that you feel like we missed out on when we talked about the interview, or did we pound it out pretty well?
I think we have some pretty good coverage on the whole thing.
I'd say so.
All right.
I think we pounded it out.
I was going to say it.
Yeah.
Just fine.
Yeah, just fine.
Real good.
Is everybody in Australia like you at this?
Yes.
Just the bogan.
Every Australian I know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get out much.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Although Yoshi's a little tamer than you are.
Yoshi has been tamed. He's a lot more disciplined than I am.
Okay.
It's all right.
All right. Well, guys, these questions, if you want to just read them, you relate to the show. I'm going to be posting them on the site here probably in the next hour or so. So you guys can go over and discuss it in your own terms and your own memes with your own FCs. But let's go ahead and finish up with the shout-outs, and we'll start here with Balana. Balana, who do you want to shout out?
Hey, yeah, shout outs to my free company Elysium and all you crazy people out there in Gilgamesh. Shout out to my raid team and my melee who won't play ninja. Also, if you want to catch more of me, you can see me, find me on Twitter over at Balana Raw. Also, I'm going to be doing some D&D stuff this weekend. I do shows on Sundays and Mondays over on my friend's channel, twitch.tv/Cloverhook. We're doing a Star Wars game on Sundays and a D&D game on Monday nights.
That's pretty interesting, dude. All right, well, check him out, man. All right. Ethys, you want to do your shout-outs?
Sure. I'm gonna give another shout out to the Final Fantasy XIV ANZ community. We have a sort of semi-official Facebook community going, which has got, I think we're at like 3,500 members now. And basically we're pushing for more representation here at events and conventions and stuff like that. We managed to convince Square Enix to have official Final Fantasy XIV presence at PAX Melbourne last year. We're hoping for the same thing this year, and we're trying to sort of escalate things there. So if you're an Australian player, look it up on Facebook, Final Fantasy XIV ANZ. It'd be really helpful if we could get you in there. Give us some support. You can also find us on Twitter and basically all the other places, Instagram and whatnot. As for me, you guys know who I am. I'm streaming 5 nights a week at the moment, adjusting my times a little bit now that we've finished Daylight Savings. But yeah, check out my Twitch, check out my YouTube, check out my Twitter.
All right. Yeah. Good. Happy? You do your shout-outs?
I'd like to shout out my free company Elysium and all the crazy people over on Gilgamesh. I'd also like to shout out my raid group and my summoner who just gets to play whatever the hell he wants without people harassing him. I'd also like to shout out everyone over on my YouTube channel who will hopefully tune in for this. If you didn't know about MogTalk, you should have, because we bring it up on State of the Realm quite frequently. And you'll get thought-provoking discussions about blitzball just like this. No, you'll get better discussions that don't have me being a baby about it the whole time.
Oh, do you reserve that for MogTalk?
No, I don't think so. Okay. But you'll get more of it here because I just avoid the topic altogether over on my channel.
You can kind of control it, right? You just
I can control it. I can just stop. I can't stop Sly anymore. He's out of control. But that's the truth. As for me, Mr. Happy1227, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. I'll also be at PAX East this coming week. I have a meet and greet Saturday at 1:30 p.m. at the Twitch booth. But if you just see me at any point, just walk up to me and say hi, because I say hi. People always ask, "Can I take a picture?" And I'm always like, "Imagine I said no."
No, sorry, I just don't. Not today.
Well,
my favorite thing to say to people. Just imagine if I said no.
Well, what if you're like out to dinner and you're sitting there, you're having a nice dinner with you and some people, and somebody goes like, "Can I take a picture of you right now?"
That would be, you know what, that might actually get me to say no, but I've never had that happen, thankfully. I've had it happen when I'm like out like at the bars afterwards, but that's a totally different story. Sitting down at dinner, I've never had that happen.
People are just trying to be polite.
Yeah, they're trying to be polite. They don't want to be about, but they're like, this is my one shot, my one opportunity.
You're in an Eminem song.
Yeah.
Don't miss a chance to take the picture, I guess.
Yeah. So
all right.
Just walk up and say hi.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys all for being on the show. It's been absolutely great. I'm glad I got you all. Although I know I gave you all less than 24 hours notice. I didn't get these questions except for 24 hours ago, so I feel pretty bad about it. But I did want to make sure that we went over it because I want you guys to stew on this stuff a little bit before the live letter happens. And I don't know if I'll be able to have a show next weekend, but we'll see. I knew I could have a show this weekend. And Balana, you've been great. I love your beard. Ethys, you're great. I love your mustache. Happy, thanks. Thank you for the full picture there.
Do you love my meat?
I love your meat, Happy.
All right, you love my meat.
Stop whipping your meat out on stream.
Hey, TOS, Twitch TOS, dude. Twitch TOS.
Yeah, you can't just whip that out on stream.
Oh, God. Hopefully that doesn't get translated. Happy licking just a pack.
So much meat.
All right, guys. Well, thank you all for watching. You guys have been amazing. Thank you, Karara, for the emotional support that she provides to me. Thank you very much to Andre Kane for letting me play his music in the intro and the closing. Thank you very much for Blizana for letting me do the artwork here, letting me use the artwork here on the show. And without further ado, guys, remember to be good, keep cool, stay frosty, and bye. See you later. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.